Mike Gallagher. Mike Gallagher has decided to join us. Now that he's Chairman Gallagher, I guess we're just going to have to be more deferential. But David Dreyer was Chairman of the Rules Committee, and he'd show up on time. And so I'm just wondering, is it the new rules? Just kind of slide into the chair, Chairman Gallagher?
I'm reminded of what Thomas Paine said in Common Sense: that which we obtain too cheap, we esteem too lightly. So I figured I'd just let you work for it a little bit, Hugh, keep you waiting. I feel like our relationship has become too casual, too familiar. And now that
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'll buck up. I want to begin by complaining. I have read the list of members on the House Select Committee on Strategic Competition between the United States and the Chinese Communist Party. You are the chairman from Wisconsin. Rob Whitman, great member from Virginia. Blaine Lutkemeyer of Missouri, great member. Andy Barr of Kentucky, great member. Dan Newhouse of Washington, great member. John Molinar of Michigan, man. Okay, went to Hope College, not the University of, but we'll come back to that. Darren LaHood of Illinois, great member. Neil Dunn of Florida. Jim Banks of Indiana, superb choice, going to be a senator. Dusty Johnson of South Dakota. Michelle Steele, my old colleague in Orange County. We served on a commission together for many years, the Orange County Children and Families Commission. She's fabulous. Ashley Hinson of Iowa. I point out we got an Iowa, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, Wisconsin. Big Ten heavy. There are no Buckeyes on this committee. It is clearly animus on the part of the chairman.
I couldn't stomach someone providing you supporting fires every week. And I've harbored a deep suspicion of anybody from Ohio. So I had to weigh in and prevent any Ohioans. Is that what we call them? Ohioans?
Buckeyes, as in the genuine national champions of college football, but for an errant kick. As you know, it was an errant kick from Noah Ruggles. Otherwise, tell me something about Kevin McCarthy has done a brilliant job of balance. Let's get serious. I love the Big Ten influence, but these are members from all over. They're serious people, whether it's Rob Whitman in Virginia or all the way to California, Michelle Steele. These are very serious people. Everybody must have wanted to be on this committee. Chairman Gallagher, how did the leader and how did the speaker and you narrow it down?
We had a massive demand. And in particular, I think we had a lot of freshmen who really wanted to serve. And unfortunately, that we weren't able to get any freshmen on because of the demand for more senior members. My hope is that in subsequent Congresses, they get on. I think the speaker looked at a few things. One is demonstrated competence on the issue set, a proven track record of taking this competition with the Chinese Communist Party seriously, having a legislative record of doing so, and two, a representation of various committees that are going to be particularly critical to this effort. So I'd like to highlight the fact that you see two members of the Financial Services Committee in Blaine Lutkemeyer and Andy Barr. That's absolutely essential because probably the most complex aspect of this competition with the CCP is the idea of selective economic and financial decoupling. Andy Barr was an essential part of the debate on CFIUS reform, Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States. So he and Blaine are going to be absolutely essential. You see three appropriators for similar reasons. You're going to actually need money when it comes to things like arming Taiwan to the teeth, when it comes to rebuilding our own munitions industrial base. All of the hard power elements of our strategy require a sensible investment. And then we have some superb communicators on the committee. You mentioned Michelle Steele, who has a really compelling personal background related to this issue. Her parents fled a totalitarian regime in North Korea, represents a district with probably one of the largest populations of Asian Americans in the country.
One of the most diverse districts in America. And she's a fabulous supervisor and congresswoman. Great choice.
Ashley Hinson, exceptional communicator, well-respected, gets the job done in Congress.
We got to mention Ashley Hinson went to USC, so we're going to have to overcome that problem. So she doesn't know anything about football.
I wonder what her allegiances are now, because she represents Iowa. I don't know.
You're going to have to dig deep there, but realize you have a Trojan horse. I mean, a real Trojan in your committee.
And then Carlos Jimenez in Florida, we already talked last night about him being the point man on Spanish language media. There's an obvious connection because, China's making massive investments in our own hemisphere in Central and South America, in Mexico, right on our border. And obviously, particularly in South Florida, the idea of having to live under the threat of a totalitarian regime, particularly with, Cuban exiles and people with family in Venezuela is not some sort of distant threat. It's a clear and present danger. So I'm really excited about the range of members we have in terms of representing various committees. Final thing I'd say for Jim Banks, obvious leader on this issue, has been incredibly aggressive on sounding the alarm, particularly on the issue of Chinese Communist Party money distorting the perception of our universities and the influence in higher education in America. And then Rob Whitman has obviously been the chairman of the Sea Power Subcommittee on Armed Services. There's nobody who understands the critical role of rebuilding the United States Navy in terms of deterring World War III better than Rob Whitman.
No, I think it's fabulous. I am waiting with bated breath. Those are the 10 Republicans. I am hoping that the 7 Democrats are serious. There are at least 7 serious Democrats on the CCP. Any word on when Hakeem Jeffries is going to name them?
I had, there's a rumor that they were going to name him last night or today. I haven't seen anything. We hear whispers of who the finalists are. The names I've heard are all serious. So I'm just excited to get to work. And so I'm hoping that Hakeem Jeffries names the members today because we got a lot to do. We got to organize. We got to get office space. And if we're trying to hold hearings in the next few weeks, which we are, I need the Democrats to participate. So fingers crossed they get their act together and name people today. Hugh, on a slightly related topic, I also want to point out that on the Intelligence Committee, we got some fantastic new members. Mike Waltz, just brilliant guy with an incredible background.
I always have to declare, my son works for Waltz, so I always have to declare that. Yes, he's a special operator to keep you Marines in check.
Well, that shows you how smart Waltz is. He had the perspicacity to hire my second favorite Hewitt behind your wife, and then Dan Crenshaw on the Intelligence Committee. So there you have 2 battle-tested combat veterans, special operators on the Intelligence Committee. That's fantastic. French Hill also on the Intelligence Committee.
Yes,
probably the most thoughtful member of Congress. So we're getting the right people.
Since we're talking about Intel, can we talk about the documents that are showing up I just had on Mike Pompeo, and he said, look, I had skiffs in my house when I was director of the CIA in state. I don't know how these documents ended up in Mike Pence's house, Joe Biden's house. Donald Trump has actually authority to move them around until he's actually not president anymore. But nevertheless, they're everywhere. Do you have any documents in your house? You're a member of the Intel Committee. I mean, have you got them check your pockets before you answer, Congressman?
No, I don't. But I have some sensitive documents related to the 2010-2011 NFL season, where, of course, the Packers won the Super Bowl. I have various newspapers from the morning after the Super Bowl. But beyond that, it's just a bunch of old notebooks from college and grad school, and then just sort of accumulation of toys for little girls that the grandparents keep flooding us with. For my
That's
2
good.
daughters.
That's our job. But what do you make of this? It's astonishing to me that there's this much sloppiness going on, because one page with one name can get people killed. I asked former Secretary of State Pompeo, many of our networks in China got rolled up right before he got to the CIA. There was obviously a leak somewhere, and the Chinese Communist Party executed them or sent them to the gulag. Somebody screwed up. This is very serious stuff. What is going on with our skiffs and our indifference to it?
It's really sloppy. And I don't know if it's kind of a function of White House culture where you're not you have the Situation Room, which is cleared as a skiff, but then you have the Oval Office, and obviously people are bringing classified documents into the Oval Office, and the president sort of occupies this unique position as a declassification authority. But it makes no sense to me as a counterintelligence officer, because these documents really should never leave a skiff unless they're in transit from one skiff. And I broke the rule on no acronyms. A sensitive compartmented information facility is a skiff. They should really never leave that. And so, and also there needs to be obviously a more robust process for when people leave the White House or leave office, VP or president, to screen all these documents prior to their transmission to a private residence or the National Archives. Something has broken down in the system fundamentally. This is just casual. It's sloppy. And to your point, it's a dangerous precedent from a national security perspective.
Congressman, Mr. Chairman, I got to call you Mr. Chairman if you're going to show up on time. I want to finish by talking about what Mike Pompeo and I were talking about. In his book, he recounts that he went to the National Governors Association and surprised them all by telling them that China has ranked each governor in the United States as Easy to work with, difficult to work with, not able to work with an opponent of China. They watch everyone. The members of your committee are now on a list. And do they know that? Do they know that they are now going to come under extreme focus, pressure, and attempts to compromise?
We had a conversation about it last night. I showed them some of the recent propaganda from CCP entities talking about the committee, referring to us as the stone throwers. To make 2 points. One, you have to assume that from here on out, everything you say and do is going to be closely scrutinized. So we all have to up our game in terms of counterintelligence and communication. But also to show that in some ways, I think the CCP fears this effort. They don't want us to be successful. And what they fear more than anything is that we will be successful in forging a bipartisan consensus in getting tough to deter CCP aggression. They want to divide Washington, D.C., and they want to elevate the camp that favors sort of neo-engagement and, false cooperation with the CCP. So they're paying attention. I think they're afraid, but we need to conduct ourselves in a professional manner and be careful in what we say. To that point, Hugh, I think we made news last week when I announced my intention to, talk to executives in Disney and NBA, which I stand by. I just would say, my opening move isn't to subpoena people and throw bombs. I would like to give these companies or industries or major asset managers the opportunity to explain how they think about doing business in China. I fully understand how complex that is, particularly after 2 decades of trying to integrate China into the global economy. But we have to have a robust and at times difficult conversation in order to put ourselves on a footing to win this competition.
This is going to be the long telegram committee. It's designed to alert the world to the CCP, and you're going to be successful. But to be called a stone thrower, I think they're borrowing from Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. That's why they're calling you stone throwers. Mike Gallagher, Chairman Gallagher, thank you for joining me. We'll give you that Gallagher entrance music next week. Sort of, here comes the chairman music. Thank you, sir. I'll be right back, America. Stay tuned to the Hugh Hewitt Show.